Hello and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about IGCSE economics. This is chapter 14 that talks about market failure. So market failure, just to take you back to the previous chapter where we talked about the market. And remember, when we talked about the market, we said price mechanism is going to play a part in determining price and what is supplied in the market. But this chapter now talks about how that market economy can fail. And we'll look at some ways through which that market economy can fail. And so we begin this chapter by saying market failure will occur when market forces fail to produce the products that consumers demand. So they fail to produce the product that consumers demand. They do not produce the right quantities, and they do not spend the lowest cost. That is actually a basis for economic inefficiency. And we're going to look at some of the ways that a market can fail. Some of the signs will be something like a shortage, surplus, high prices, poor quality products, and a lack of innovation. These are some things that can show that a market is failing. All right, moving on. This is one of the things that shows that a market has failed. So one thing that a market does not do, market economy does not take into account all the costs and benefits. And we're going to look at all the costs and benefits. But basically, during production and consumption, there are people we call third parties who are neither involved in production nor in consumption, but they are affected by that transaction. So we call them third parties. So market failure will occur when the consequence of this production or consumption is going to affect a third party. So if a third party is affected that was not involved in production or consumption, then we're going to say that failure has occurred there. Right. And so what are these costs and benefits that are going to affect the third party? Right. So we have private impacts. So this is the cost and benefits to those directly involved. So it's called a private impact. Then you have external impacts. This is the one that affects the third party only. It's called an external impact. And then we have social impact. So this will be the total of the private plus the external. I'm going to take you through an example here. So if we have, so let's begin by talking about social cost. So this is going to be given by private cost. So this is the cost of production, for example. So the cost that a company incurs in production or a business incurs in production, and the external cost, so the cost that production does to the environment. So that will be the external cost. And then also, on the other hand, we have social benefit. So we have also this divided into two. We have what is called the private benefit. So private benefit. So this is the benefit to the person who buys. And we have external benefits. This can be a benefit to the society. So I'm going to give you an example of this. But we go into much detail on this topic at A level. So let's talk about an example of a private benefit and an external benefit. One of the examples would be if someone was vaccinated against a certain disease, this means that they cannot get the disease. So that's their private benefit. But it also means they cannot transmit the disease to someone else. So that's the external benefit. So we have this private benefit, the person who got vaccinated cannot get the disease, but it also means they cannot transmit the disease to someone else, and that is the external benefit. Another thing that can show market failure is called information failure. And basically, in a market economy, agents, everybody working in a market economy may need to have the correct and accurate information, and information failure is going to occur if one of the people in that transaction does not have accurate information. And if one person has better information than the other or knows more than the other, then this situation is called asymmetric information. So this occurs when one person has more information than the other. This could be a doctor having more information than the patient. It could be a mechanic having more information than the owner of the car. It could be an insurer having more information than the insured. So this all is asymmetric information. So, and it can lead to customers making wrong decisions in the market. For example, buying low quality goods at high prices, and workers may end up taking the wrong jobs, or producers may face higher costs than necessary. Moving on, we also have the issue of merit goods, and merit goods will be under-consumed in a market economy. So they will be under-consumed. And the reason they are under-consumed is because of lack of information. So lack of information. This is what is going to make merit goods to be under-consumed. So what are merit goods first? Merit goods are products that are beneficial to consumers than the consumers realize. So in other words, they generate external benefits. We just talked about external benefits up there. And consumers are going to undervalue these goods, and therefore they're going to underconsume them. Some examples of merit goods are education and healthcare. So this is one of the areas in which a market economy is going to fail. Another area is demerit goods. So these demerit goods, because they're going to be overconsumed, then these ones are going to be overproduced. And demerit goods are those that have external costs. They have external costs. So these ones are going to be overproduced, and they are harmful to the consumer. So in a market economy, these ones are going to be overproduced. Don't forget, merit goods will be underconsumed, demerit goods will be overconsumed. All right. Now, in a market economy, public goods are likely not to be produced. So a market economy may not produce public goods. This is because public goods can be used by anyone who lives in that country. Public good is something like street lights. So anybody who walks under the street lights is going to enjoy the street lights even if they didn't pay for it. That condition is called free rider problem, which basically means even the person who does not pay taxes will still enjoy the benefits of the tax, such as the street light. Now, public goods are non-excludable. You cannot exclude anybody, and they are non-rival. So that means when one person uses, it does not reduce the ability of another person to use. And so this creates a problem called free rider problem. And therefore, these public goods cannot be produced by private firms because private firms have no incentive to produce them. They may be produced, of course, if the government finances that operation. So remember, public goods are unlikely to be produced in a market economy, and private goods will be produced a lot. All right. Let's move on to another point. We have what is called the abuse of monopoly power. And if a single firm is able to compete and remove others from the market and remain as a monopoly, then this can be very bad, especially if the monopoly is in the private sector. So this can push other people out of business, and when the business becomes a monopoly, it can charge high prices. So it can charge high prices at and then this is going to be disadvantageous to the consumer. It's going to exploit the consumer. All right, and then we have immobility of resources. So in a market economy, resources can be immobile, especially when you change uses, and this is actually this is a major cause of market failure, both for where resources are geographically immobile and occupationally immobile. And the final thing we can look at under market failure is short-termism. This is where businesses come into a space, they get profit quickly, and then return back and then go into another investment. So this is called short-termism, where businesses come into a certain line of business, they make money quickly, make the quick profits, and then they don't stay for long. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share my video with fellow students. Good luck.